of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Hello everyone, you're listening to a Muslim sci-fi writer and an individual who is a visual thinker. When I tend to give these lectures, I am experiencing a I'm having a cinematic experience in my what I call the inner realms or my inner sight. And so I see something and then I turn it into words. So anyways, in this episode, I wanted to speak about something interesting. The creator created the created. I find this to be an exceptional sentence. Very, very stylish sentence. And so, we are in the human experience, existing within a system, being an experiential player. There are moderators, and there is a system admin, and there is a simulation, and there is the original. And your life in this world, as a sort of recap from other lectures, is the realization that your mind and body are a crossroad, and then the soul that remembers the original world is far superior than the simulated looping, repeated maneuvers of the type of entity we are. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive into this. The sentence, the creator created the creator, is very similar to the sentence, the uncaused caused causality. There are three dimensions to this sentence. First, the idea of the creator, then the idea of creation, and then the idea of the created. Now, human beings on this planet, there's one angle, one story to one way of climbing this mountain of this world, where the perspective is that it took a very long time, 4.5 billion years in the making, for organisms to become conscious. And if you think about it, there is no, it doesn't make sense why evolution brought forth consciousness. It does, but it also doesn't. And to explain this would be equivalent to saying that this organism was unconscious. Its pain, suffering, and what happened to it did not have a specific meaning, but when it became conscious, it became responsible for how to organize its experiences, whether pleasure or pain. So think of it this way, I envision like a film So I would say to you like this, that imagine like you're seeing a film being fast forwarded from the beginning of the earth up to now. You'd suddenly at some point these organisms had a separate physical relationship from the planet, and then individuality began to take shape more and more. Now there were two sorts of I call them in some sense think of it as a sort of psychological revolution, an evolutionary step, but psychologically revolutionary. And what I'm saying is that when our ancestors were capable of noticing themselves, that's when the world was separate to them. And so the initial organisms, it's not too far-fetched of an idea to envision the early human beings opening their eyes in an unknown world, and in some sense, it's being too, how do I say it? It's as if there are unknown edges to this world of ours that in some sense we cannot really know where we are. So think of it as you fast forward through the film of what happened on this planet. You see that our ancestors collided with the massive meaninglessness of reality. And this was so shocking to them that in some sense their strategy was to create a lie, and stories were born, and the individual identity became a subjective, separately walking dimension than the objective reality. We are living a life in front of our eyes, and we are being a sort of life, living a life behind our eyes. Now, the whole point is that the context of the world is not just evolutionary organisms that started telling themselves stories to simulate a simulation inside an undiscoverable simulation. It's as if the first us being conscious of the world, that simulation scared us, so we needed to find the simulation that could connect to our free will. And so the story of the individual was born. This is one view of seeing it. But another view is that you're not just a physical evolutionary organism. You are an opportunity of intelligence. You are an intelligence, okay? So in an intelligence system, we tend to see, there tends to be a sort of filterization of real and unreal. For example, when you get to know a person for the first time, a part of you just from the beginning is trying to formulate the first impression, like, is this person honest or not? Do you know? So the notion is that the world is a simulation, and it's a system, and the system admin is the original. It's another way of saying the world arose from the self-existent. God is the only perspective that it is self-existent. Even I can point to it in philosophy. We call it the infinite regress fallacy. What that means is, in your questioning to find a creator, you have to find a creator to that creator. So it's as if, like, if a domino pushed the first domino, what pressed that domino, and it keeps going back and it never ends, so it becomes a fallacy. So technically, something that is not of the world, is not causally limited, is the administration force. Guys, I would honestly like to tell you this, that I've repeated it in the past couple episodes, and I've been summarizing it every new episode. But it went from what do we do with a meaningless ending to what do we do with the potential of a known meaning to an unknown simulation. You see, the term the created means simulation. The term the creator means original. When we say the original created the simulation, as a simulated being, you must be a simulation of something. Okay, that of means the original must be prior. Therefore, the truth must exist before there can be a simulation of it. Before there can be an illusion, there must be a reality. Now, human beings, in their fascination throughout the ages of what sort of relationship should we have, not just with ourselves, not just with others, but with the world, and not just with the world, with that which is beyond the world. Dear human being, I get it. You are an object. I get it. You are also a character in a story. You're a subject. I get it. I've been living like that every day. Every day I wake up, and I log into this conscious waking reality, and it's like, okay, new formulations of selfhood based on what's in my awareness, or what moves first in my attention. What demands the intensities of serious attention, for example, right? Throughout the day. I'm trying to tell you that if you're in a simulation, it becomes a completely different game. You see, I spoke about it as if 3 levels. Level 1, the body. The purpose, the mission of the body is survival. Level 2 is the mind. The permission of the mind is service before it's no longer. 3 is the soul. Now, the level 3 you don't access unless you have witnessed how your identification with a instance of being an object and subject is actually a sort of dynamism, where it's as if we're happening, our mind is a faster event than our body, and our body's capable individualism, separation from the earth, gives it a sort of faster change than just being connected to it like in one place. Oh my God, guys, it was on mute. This is ridiculous. I was pretty much telling you that the Creator has created us and has put us in a position, or let me say it this way. I would what was muted and I was explaining, okay, was this idea of how there is a spiritual air in the perspective of New Ageism, Buddhism, and yoga, and the whole Enlightenment cultural phenomena that's happening. Okay, and so the issue I was explaining with that approach is that it's a spiritual error because of equating the creator to the created, that making the artist equal to the artwork. The issue with the spirituality in this modern time is that it is subconsciously a sophisticated form of self-worship. But let me explain how. I have, but let me explain it deeper. It is a type of self-worship where you as a spiritual person are being like, yo, I want to get to know who I am. I want to know my soul. I want to know I want to reverse engineer back into, like, to figure out who I really am. And when you do, you reach the unknown and you nullify your individualism. When you nullify your individualism, you make yourself equal to everything. And then you make everything equal to God. And then this becomes an error. Okay, the fictional character is not equal to the non-fictional author, right? So it's not about you realizing everybody is God. Oh my God! No. Everybody is in within a divine surveillance state. We are all God's decree in action. Yet God is uncaused, so no causal formed relationship should suffice for you, because it's a looping forms loop ad infinitum. An idea in the void has an ability to never go anywhere if there is an eternal attention to it. So the attention of human beings should be like, okay, I'm no longer just a biological organism on a rock in the middle of nowhere. I'm an intelligent I'm a Mysterian sort of intelligence. What that means is that a component to it is forever unknowable. And what I'm trying to tell you is that, strangely, the most spiritual thing you can do is to accept your humanity, your soul here, right? It's like we're all 8 billion method actors suddenly awaking that we're not what the cultural program sculpted us as, and then being like, wait a minute though, we're on stage and we're still performing. So the performance must go on, regardless of if the method actor realizes who he was before he acted, and realizes the film set, and realizes the director and the camera crew outside of the world watching. To play your part and to live your life, but your collective life, which means you're living not for what you only see. You are living for the greatness of all of our ancestors that made the right decisions to get us here now. And we're also living for all the unborn human beings that are watching us right now. All the unborn future generations, they are watching you. You don't see them because you think you're just what you see. You don't realize you're being seen beyond worldly scenes. And so I will end the talk here. This would be part 1. Thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. May the greatness of our true potential as beings here now be realized. And we need to directly contact the system admin and not get distracted by simulated moderators, even though there was I worked for a decade with those moderators, and I realized it's a sort of shirk. It was my spiritual error. Anyways, thank you. Have a great day, guys.